Hello all. This is the May 19th Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council Environment and Sustainability Committee. It is 7:06. Come to order. Hello all. Are there any welcomes or introductions that need to be made? I believe that we have 4 members here. I do not see anyone else in attendance at the moment. No other participants. Is there any public comment on any non-agenda items? Are you able to hear me? None?
Yeah.
Okay. No public comment on non-agenda items. So we are at the West Harbor project at the LA waterfront comment letter. The one that was published was the first version that was approved through the joint, that was pretty much composed through the joint Environment and Sustainability Committee. And then we had taken it. Does anyone move to consider amendments? Is that correct?
Well, as a point of order, I think we had like a drafting committee, but it really wasn't a committee meeting. It wasn't noticed or anything else. It was just an ad hoc committee.
That's true. Okay,
so I would like to propose that version with those amendments be introduced for this group's consideration. If there's a second,
I'll second. Is that version 4?
Yes, this is version 4, and let me screen share that. Let's see, and I'm going to make everyone panelist who can share. So here, who can start sharing? All right, all panelists. There we go. And then I am going to try to share this. Here we go. Are you able to see?
Yeah.
Great. All right. So, Peter, were you able to take a look at it?
I was able to take a look at it, and it was very helpful for me because, and I have strong agreement with all of the principal comments that are added here. I'm sorry, Gwen, I'm going to ask you a question. Is there any comment regarding pollution?
Actually, that was in several areas. Yeah, I went further into the pollution with when you go to the document that you have and you maybe double click on the red lines, you will actually see a more expanded version with more thoughts on pollution at the port, not just noise pollution, but the impact of people, their activities, the fireworks especially.
Fireworks and the actual maintenance of what's going to happen, how the area is going to be cleaned, so those are important issues for me. I guess my question would be, what are we voting on tonight on the expanded document, which is part of which is hidden, or not?
Pat, would you like to discuss this?
Yeah, a couple of things. The NOP itself says, yes, they're going to study all of those and all those things, the micro plastics and cleaning the water particularly. What the comment letter does is we expanded that to say, hey, there's going to be areas outside of the project area that are going to be impacted by people and by activities, and you have to include those too in the public safety and in the trash, noise, and that sort of stuff.
I believe you did add the word public safety, did you not?
I don't remember.
Security, adequate security,
Yeah,
right there. I'm going to fold this up again. You can see that I went kind of further into the concerns about artificial turf,
mm-hmm,
which we can hang on to all of those in the farther down the line when we get into the draft EIR. And
yeah.
yeah, so Peter, you should look at those, and then if there are any other documents or valid things. But I suggested now that they look into something that they're doing in Europe quite frequently. Over in the Netherlands, a lot of wetland area. They're going to either low noise fireworks or simply dispensing with them entirely. And and drones are something that SeaWorld actually submitted an application with the through various agencies. The California Coastal Commission did approve it in 2019 to have those LED drone shows as an alternative to fireworks at SeaWorld, specifically for the sensitivity to wildlife and the community. So anyway, that's a mention there for some alternatives. Peter.
Yeah, being a recovering pyromaniac myself, it's kind of difficult for me to take this particular issue on, but I do understand. I do understand that if the fireworks are detonated, are used with a frequency that's being discussed, this isn't 4th of July, which comes once a year, or in San Pedro, which comes for the month of June. These are some major fireworks shows that are 25 plus. So I'm hoping that there will be some addressing of the question of the frequency of the fireworks show. I'm not entirely against fireworks altogether, but if they're actually used on 25 weekends during the summer, then that's a different story.
Yeah. Well, they'll have to, if they don't include that in their study. I mean, they said they're going to study it. If they don't include it in their study, they're going to hear about it plenty when the draft EIR comes out.
Okay. Well, I understand there's a process here, and Diana was very. This particular issue came up at the Feed and Be Fed board meeting, and she was very clear that what's going on right now is there need to be comments about what we hope is included in the EIR, and we're not necessarily commenting extensively on details.
Well, we're not. Yeah, this is not the appropriate place to redesign it for them. Ours is, like you just said, is to make sure that they've got all of that they haven't left something out that needs to be studied. And there's several things in here that have been added in the course of several meetings with coastal people and also with our own group. One is the impact of their events outside the project area, on the water, in the 22nd Street Park, on the banks, that sort of thing. Second was the microplastics, the artificial turf stuff, and then the light and noise things, the fireworks activity are the three that come to mind the most. I thought we've done some more than that. The paragraph just above what Gwen has highlighted there, I thought was also an important expansion. It doesn't tell them what to design. If you go up just a little bit, Gwen, there the alternatives to decrease sun exposure, heat, and open seating sections. that's something they hadn't included in the proposed project, that these are alternatives or additions that should be considered by them that we added.
Yeah,
Mhm.
this is a mention here about the turf itself.
Right.
Not I think that they should dispense with it completely, simply because it turns out, um, I mean, economically for them, it makes sense to not have it as well, because a high traffic area, that requires replacement. As it is, artificial turf needs to be replaced every 8 years, with soccer, sports, that which is not nearly as heavy traffic as a tourist destination with a concert venue, that will option out as a park, an activity area for the community.
I'm not clear. What are you suggesting?
That well that well a part of the comment being that economically, the replacement, the turnaround and replacement of AstroTurf, or the artificial turf, increases with the traffic, which I did have, but it doesn't need to be discussed. High traffic decreases the longevity,
Right.
but that doesn't necessarily have to be in this document. But they may, they may decide that on their own.
Well, you said, let me make sure I'm clear on what your thought is here. You seek options to artificial turf in the open seating area. That's something besides turf, or,
Artificial, yeah, artificial turf, artificial grass.
yeah,
Um,
okay,
yeah, but yes, there there is documentation with sports athletes that, between grass and artificial turf, they have data where there are increased, um, instances of heat stroke amongst athletes. And that's across the board. Oh, I'm sorry. There is high traffic decreases tree
yeah.
longevity. Never mind. I missed that. Sorry. Well,
Are we ready to vote, or we need
is
more
yeah,
discussion?
is there
Um,
anything else?
No, I think I'm ready to vote.
Okay. All right. So, call the vote.
I move that the letter to Chris Cannon regarding the West Harbor modification be approved as submitted.
Second,
I'll
Second.
Okay.
Okay,
Norman.
all in favor?
But you
Aye.
can,
I'll do a call vote anyway. Peter,
Aye.
Gwen, aye. Pat,
yes,
and Thomas.
Aye.
Okay, thanks, Tom. All right, unanimous. Um,
I love the rest of the agenda, but can I be excused to go? Do you
Yes,
need
you
to, do we need to vote on something?
no,
on the
there's
rest of
nothing
the
to vote
agenda?
on. There is absolutely nothing to vote on. But I would like some comments on a few items,
Um,
if it's possible. Not with you, Pat. Bye. You have something that I wish I was at. I'm there in spirit.
well, there's several things on there that I was interested in, but I live with somebody who's going to comment on my absence.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
say hi to Diana and enjoy the event.
And your input will always be part of the process anyway.
I'll always answer your phone calls.
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you all.
Bye, Pat.
Bye-bye.
So good. Let me get that in. So let me go back to the agenda.
Brush fires.
Yes. Yes. So let me see if we do have another participant. No, we don't. The deal is after the fire, a group of us, actually people from Coastal, a, a co uh, a neighbor of Pat and Diana's actually, who is very much into with the Palos Verdes Peninsula Land Conservancy. And a few others. We took a tour to inspect the fire at Peck Park. Also got an opportunity to speak to the neighbors that you probably saw on the news items. They were the ones who were spraying their hoses over their fences. So one of the concerns about it is that and what I observed is that now during the fire, I mean, I watched the whole of it. Was very blessed that the wind did not pick up past a certain speed. It did move very quickly. By nature of the canyon, it passed from the ballpark, jumped the canyon, and went south onto the other side of the canyon, burnt down into the canyon as well. So the wind was going in that from kind of
West to east.
northwest,
Yeah.
a little bit, yeah. The defensible spaces, now the paths themselves are very wide, and they kind of opt as fire breaks. There is a considerably wide path on the side of the residences that are over by Elberon, where Elberon and Crestwood really abut, and there's neighbors just beyond wood walls and cinder block walls, right there on that narrow long edge that goes towards Leland and that area. So those pathways were very wide, and they did a very good job. The fire by that time, it was moving quickly but low, so it didn't go up into the trees. There was of course, the non-native grasses, they just ignite like crazy, and the park unfortunately is filled with it, and it was very dry. We have had unseasonably dry an unseasonably dry spring that was already in summer levels. The trees themselves, the fire stayed very low for the most part. Maybe in the lowest part of the canyon where there was a lot of fuel, it started to burn up the trees, and you might have seen some palm trees go. But that pathway worked. Plus, by that time, the fire crews were defending the spaces as well. The problem is that from that fire road, there's like a small slope up to the property lines of houses all the way down. And that area, for the most part, had not been cleared. And I know that Park and Rec does do that. They clear that area. That's a defensible space. But I believe that from what I understand, that was later in their schedule. So we have a problem with, they do have limited staff. They have certain obligations that they have. And not all of those defensible spaces were handled. They weren't cut or mowed down. So that should be something that we could possibly address. The community, the people that were there, who were still putting out spot fires, some tree roots were still burning underneath the soil. So they were still putting out spot fires, and the fire crews were still coming through and doing the same. But they had asked that maybe it would be good to have additional fire hydrants at strategic places. There's some areas where there are breaks in between properties that lead to the sidewalks, like Crestwood, Leland, Elberon, those kind of areas. And maybe it would be good to have a strategic like fire hydrant in certain areas to help defend those spaces. So that I'm giving this list over to public safety. Is there any other thoughts that that anyone might have regarding this. Yes, Peter.
I would certainly be supportive and in many ways, I would be supportive of repopulating, replanting those areas with natives. I think that's an excellent idea. It doesn't guarantee that the area won't burn. And I guess I'm a little confused here. I'm not unsympathetic with the people who were impacted. But for instance, I know in many parts of California, people whose homes abut a fire zone are responsible for maintaining and managing brush. It's not the responsibility of the state, and I understand that's on their property. So I guess my question is, if you have built a structure, if you build a structure immediately, a flammable structure immediately adjacent to a wildland area, who's responsible? Is the city and the Park and Rec's responsible for ensuring that that doesn't get burned? It seems like more like you're asking the city, because you're also asking the city to have a wildland park at the same time. So there's a little bit of mixed responsibility there. That's just a comment. I don't expect that to be just my comment. I don't expect it to be part of our response.
Well, I believe, and you are absolutely right. When I was kind of having that discussion, for example, over at Laguna Niguel, was that the location that
Right.
we
Yeah, right. You're right. Laguna Niguel, right.
Yeah. So, well, any wildland urban interface, the community is told you must evacuate, do not use the water resources. We are going to use your homes, we're going to use your hoses, we're going to use your pools in order to stop this fire. If the community is over in this area and using up all the water pressure where we need it will not necessarily be there. So, but at the same time, there are fire hydrants as well and things to help defend that. It was unfortunate because I think that there is a different sensitivity to parks that are within city. I mean, this is not a wildland urban interface as much as even RPV. This is kind of a park. There might be, and because it's the city of Los Angeles, there may be different handling, but the grasses, I mean, it is on their schedule to cut down the grasses. They do a very good job, but for some reason, their schedule and what actually was happening with the weather and the dryness of this particular season, and
Yeah.
then of course human activity, just
Well, yeah, okay, I get it, Gwen. I think in general, what our message is, and what the message that seems to be circulating everywhere in the West, is that all of the issues surrounding grass, brush, forest fires, and their impact on residences all have to be looked at again in the light of where we are today in terms of climate change. So maybe the grass trimming is not needs to be rescheduled. Maybe there needs to be a fire break. Maybe there needs to be a fire break
Oh, they designed one. They did design one. Once again, that fire road is very good, but there is a strip of what is normally trimmed, completely trimmed, a strip that is a little bit of a slope, and then the fences. That fire road is definitely a fire break, but the vegetation that is still on city property that goes right up to the fence. There were many spots where it had not been trimmed yet.
Hmm. Well, maybe, yeah,
So
maybe trimming, maybe, I don't know. Um,
it's a schedule thing. But at the same time, there is concern because it's just the nature of the property and the way the park goes. But it goes down the canyon. There's a what used to be a perennial stream. There's an aquifer that used to feed it, but it's been redirected historically, and things have happened. But there was still water in different places in that stream. Uh, when you get to the point where I forget what the name of that little park is. There's another little park over there on Summerland, Rena Park.
Rena Park, yeah.
That the that's where the canyon kind of turns, and it goes across a street, and you then have to cross the street to get back onto the trails. But on both sides, that's where the non-native grasses really were wild and heavy. And if it had continued to pick up and continue down there, that's when the houses on Miraflores would have been threatened. Um, uh, and it would have threatened a lot more areas. So,
Well,
we love our wild park, our natural park, but at the same time,
Gwen, I'm also going to ask, is this particular issue, I mean, who should be looking at this? It seems to me I'm questioning a little bit whether this is a sustainability issue, or whether whoever looks at park issues, whether it's their issue. I certainly think the homeowners in that area ought to be motivated to, I mean, are they all in Northwest? Everybody in this area?
uh, yeah, Peck Park is substantially
Substantially in Northwest, yeah.
in Northwest. The very tail end, it starts to get into Central. I think Leland is an actual physical break, and that is Central. But
Okay.
yes, so Peck Park is completely in
Peck
Northwest.
Park is in Northwest. Well, yeah, I'm not sure this is a sustainability issue, but it seems like specifically the neighbors in that area ought to be activated and
Yeah.
and engaged with fire experts, with the Parks and Recs, with the fire department, all of those people to help deal with the issue of keeping their homes from burning.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, the only thing I thought that maybe sustainability could work with is trying to transition areas the down in the I mean the palm trees were a problem. It was starting to choke with some non-natives that were a problem. The non-native grasses are certainly a problem. But I've got to say that, over the years when I go through there, Park and Rec does an exceptional job of clearing mustard.
Hmm.
The what oh
Anise,
no, ricine. The oh God, it starts with a C. The a lot
castor,
castor.
castor.
Yeah, castor and those grasses. They do a good job. It's just for whatever reason the schedule was off.
Yeah.
And that's why I want to find out more. And this is all going to be handed off to public safety and community issues. But if we can help in any way to contribute to the idea. I think that.
Yeah, well, again, I would be glad to lend our offices to the question of native, of helping to encourage native plantings there, and whatever, whatever we could do to work with Park and Recs, to work together with the Palos Verdes Land Conservancy, who I know maintains a large nursery and a lot of expertise in that area. France, what's his name?
Alan.
Alan France.
Well, with that, one of the individuals was a representative from PLP. Yeah.
Okay.
Nelson,
Good.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. I get it, Gwen.
Yeah. So, well, that would be wonderful. And just so you know, Central approached me a long time ago, or at least one of the representatives on Central had continued to say that the Gaffey Channel, the two slopes in Leland Park, that should also be repopulated with native plants. So there is support. There is support for this. And Angel's Gate, of course, that there was a fire there from fireworks. It was quite concerning and needed helicopter drops.
Just coming from my interface with Park and Recs, Rec and Parks, they don't have any money to do anything. They're limping along.
Yeah.
So again, I don't know how much they're open to this, and I don't know how much influence we can have. But I think what is required, there is some kind of cooperation, some kind of public-private cooperation, where a foundation who is dedicated to native plants in California as a way of controlling fire in the urban wildland interface, making some kind of connection there. Even if it were a small start, it would be great.
Right. And maybe we can, as multiple communities, try to get a volunteer group, city, what is it, the CC, the LA
The Conservation
Corps?
Corps.
Yeah.
You might be able to enlist tree people, and get the Palos Verdes Land Conservancy
Oh, yeah.
to chip in something for that. At least get a start. When, if you can't do the entire canyon, get part of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Just move down the area. And I think that the community that surrounds the park would also be motivated to help with this. So, but educating homeowners on that. But they are quite aware, and they realize that they need to do something. And you could tell as you walked through that there's also one, that the last thing I want to say, there was one particular homeowner that has one of those passageways that I was telling you about, where the park is a slope and it goes straight to a street. That's kind of a cut through, and because of the trees, there are people that tend to congregate there overnight. And so I had noticed, since, over the years, I was very surprised to find that they had created a defensive perimeter near their house to try to keep people from trespassing too close to their house. And what they had created as a berm was like branches, heavy branches and things like that, which, should the fire have gone there, that would have been a problem.
Sure.
Yeah. So yeah, educate the homeowners, make inquiries about Park and Rec funding, their schedule. I'll try to talk to them. They were kind of desperate for funding, actually. They really were.
Yeah. Well,
right.
see if some of that state surplus could make its way down here. I mean, because I know, fire mitigation is a big part of the current budget. Anyway, enough, Gwen. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the air quality sensors, I'm not considering that a dead topic. I'm actually reaching out. I've put out feelers to Keck USC. The people who are they're still very active with the harbor and the air quality. The Andrea Rico has actually been in communication regarding those air monitors. I'm going to see if they can be the overriding organization that might be able to take over any funded sensors that we might have, that it be included in their studies, which would clearly benefit our community. So that's the tact I'm going, is with those studies. So I'm moving with that. And you know, I'm hoping that maybe we can start doing an education on the water restrictions that were just announced. There's actually meetings about that going on, I think, tonight, amongst communities regarding that. But I think that if we have, I know that the cool blocks that I'm doing, there's going to be a meeting. This is going to be something where I'm going to try to encourage my area to change their lawns and work with them in cutting the bills. So that actually is going to be an activity that I'm doing. But if we can possibly, if there's anything else that anybody can think of that might be actionable. No? Okay.
You know, I guess
Go ahead.
a lot of times yeah, I'm sorry, Tom.
Oh, I just, there's a professor at Dominguez Hills who's put an outdoor monitor in my house for a period of time. He had some funding for X number of houses. I think he's going to come back this summer. I'll get $300, but he's going to do an indoor and outdoor. Now they want to see what the indoor air quality is. So, you know, see how the thing goes with Keck, you know, Gwendolyn. I've asked him if he could share the data, you know, with upcoming sustainability committee. So once he has some, you know, we might have some other avenues. So I don't want to give up on it, but, you know, we're clearly probably better off working with a third party who knows how to use the monitors, and, you know, it's part of their daily life versus us as volunteers. That's kind of the message I got. So I just wanted to share that once he's ready. It might not be until fall, but we might have some neat data. I think it's compelling to see.
Yeah.
It's one thing what it's doing outside, but then indoor pollution is really bad too.
Right. Actually, you might want to check out the mitigations that the city actually had to fund in certain areas of Los Angeles. There is a particular community that literally is sandwiched between 3 freeways. It's in a triangle, and they were required to put in indoor air filtration, as well as try to mitigate the outdoor situation. It The airport, I believe, was another one of those areas, not just for sound, but for air quality. So it is understood, and it will be interesting to see what we have here in comparison to maybe Santa Monica or Manhattan Beach, you know. Wonderful. All right. So now I'm just going to mention this, that the same individual from Keck has put in an inquiry about the cruise ships. There seems to be some documentation that cruise ships since the pandemic have not been parked and using the shore power, that they've continued to be on the engine. And so there's an inquiry on that. And the letter that I had seen included data on that, seeing, you know, that the shore power wasn't being used. I'd rather, you know, try to make inquiries with the port first before, you know, going as a group letter or anything. But I wanted you to be aware that this was something to possibly monitor.
I
Yeah.
have a question, Gwen. Yeah, I mean, that's concerning. That is concerning to me. Who who's responsible for policing that?
That's actually the port's responsibility, and it is the responsibility of the cruise ships to follow what they have been offered, which is shore power. I don't know I don't know what the situation is. I'm going to see this further.
Yeah, I mean, and one of the things that would be,
But oversight,
yeah, right. One of the things that would be valuable is, does the port have records? How are they monitoring compliance? Those would be basic questions. And if they come back and say, we have somebody who goes out every day and checks compliance, great. If they say we have somebody who goes out once a month, what good is that, right? Anyway, so I thank you for looking into that, because those, as we all know, many times the types of fuel that are used in those, well, I'm not sure they use bunker fuel to power the diesels, the auxiliary diesels, but it's diesel fuel, and it's dirty, very dirty.
I know the cruise ships are trying to go change to natural gas and to other power, but right now there have been a lot of cruise lines that are bragging about using natural gas at this point.
Well,
But
that would be good.
yeah, but still, being offered shore power and not utilizing
Yeah.
it. So I told you guys about Patrick O'Donnell going for a fourth shot with AB 2897. I got the number wrong. He did submit it because he is terming out. It turns out that there is a senator, Ben Lee, I believe his name, a state senator who is taking up the cause. He's submitting it through the Senate, so there is a Senate bill as well, and I'm going to look at that. But the funding for the Rivers Conservancy, that's a considerable amount of funding. I still, this is something that I think is highly important for the new port, for the livability and the changes for community surrounding the harbor area, in the port, renaturalizing, allow steelhead trout, giving an option for steelhead trout to finally make it up the channels and into the Los Angeles River, San Gabriel, restore, have a little more restoration of the Dominguez Channel. There's a lot of places that, when you drive around, are still kind of in stasis. They're in hold. You can see the land there, and they could be really wonderful open spaces for areas that are very deficit. Wilmington, when you go through, I'm always surprised at these cement channels that kind of pop up here and there, that are other tributaries that funnel water through the community that could actually benefit the community in a very nice way. So anyway, any other legislation, environmental actions, any other things? Are there any future items to discuss? Oh, Green Hub, the Green Hydrogen Hub. Did you guys get my email about that? That they did pass it. The city council did pass it, the motion, and only one neighborhood council has submitted a CIS on that. I think we should. I'm sure we're going to take care of that in the joint sustainability meeting. But it looks like that there's some urgency to that. They passed it quite quickly.
I had a meeting with the CEO of Altasea, trying to strengthen relationships between my university and the new CEO. And he told me, they're working to lobby to get like a $2 billion federal money that Biden got put in one of the bills for hydrogen. to get that to come down to the port to look at that. So, not something just to kind of watch, see if there's concrete action we could kind of support to make sure that comes to Los Angeles versus some other area, what would be. So I don't have, I'm just, nothing's concrete, but just thought I'd share this an FYI, something I want to follow.
That was the motion by the council to ask the federal government to make this area one of the 4 potential green.
Okay, that was the same. Okay, when you said that, I
That's the
wasn't
one.
sure.
That's the
He
one.
didn't use the exact language. So, okay, if it's the same thing, then good.
Yeah, it is the same one. It is the same thing, but there are concerns, as has been voiced, and we should start lighting a fire on that, so to speak. Peter.
What's your language, Gwen? ye- so Gwen, help me to understand briefly what constitutes a green hydrogen hub.
Well, Richard very well described it. In my minutes, I tried to, for the April 4th meeting, I have all the information in there. So hydrogen in the production of it and the creation of it can be heavily greenhouse gas. You could actually burn a lot of oil and gas in order to make hydrogen. There are methods to make hydrogen that aren't that impactful. Does need a water source, needs a lot of water. Also, after you produce hydrogen, there are 2 ways that you can utilize it as an energy source. You can either burn it, or you can store it in cells, in hydrogen cells, and utilize it as a battery. Utilizing it as a battery is very green. Burning it doesn't solve anything at all. In the process of creating hydrogen and burning hydrogen, you're doing far more damage to the environment with both of those things than anything. There are sensible ways to do it. Of course, the technology for hydrogen and utilizing it for large vessels and trucks and trains is not quite there yet, but it is extremely promising. The potential is very much there, and if it's done properly, I think that it really could benefit the area. But the technology is not there yet. It could be done very poorly. I don't think that will happen in Los Angeles. It could potentially happen if a place like Texas gets it. They may not have as many restrictions on it. I don't mean to disparage.
Yeah, no, well,
I forgive Texans if any listen to this.
you don't have to do that.
It's just regulation, and
yeah, I get it, but yeah, I think the production of hydrogen, as long as renewable resources, you basically need electricity to make hydrogen out of water, and if that electricity comes from a renewable resource, you're all good. You've got a very clean product. So obviously, as we know, as the debate that's been going on about the LNG tanks in San Pedro, the issue of storing large quantities, keeping large quantities of hydrogen, obviously is going to be has to be a sensitive issue. But I agree. I think it needs to be part of the complex of solutions we have. and it's a way, well, how you electric airplanes, you're gonna have a two-seater flying between here and Fresno in the foreseeable future, but you're gonna need hydrogen to power aircraft. Anyway, that's all, Gwen. Again, thanks.
With that, one of the concerns by environmental groups is the amount of water that will be utilized within water poor Los Angeles. Now, for example, who was it? Was it Huntington Beach? It was somewhere in Orange County that just denied a saline water treatment plant.
Yeah, that was Huntington. That was Huntington Beach, the Poseidon desalination plant.
They just, it was in, yeah, they said, no, we don't want it here. Which, you know, I would love it if later after this, somebody tell me why they would not want it in their community.
It was, I don't think it was Huntington Beach. I think it was the Coastal Commission that looked at the issue. And so that's a statewide organization, and the issues there are, I think, are very different from hydrogen. The issues are the increasing salinity that it increases in the outflow, because you take seawater and you desalt it, and the salt goes right back into the ocean in that area. So you have increased salinity in that area.
And there are sensitive areas over there. Yeah. Environmentally. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for the reminder. Now that the last thing is, I should have asked Pat this, but I did get authorization from our neighborhood council, and Richard thinks it's he's already approved. He thinks it's a good idea, but what does everybody think of immediately after the second Thursday joint sustainability meeting that we break out and re-sign into a new Zoom meeting as ourselves and continue any business in a meeting just following? Now it would be scheduled for 8 p.m. to start. So I'm actually probably going to have two computers up, one for the joint one, and then have everything ready for a following meeting. But is everybody willing to do a second Thursday meeting?
Well, I think it makes sense to try to bunch up the timing, so we just give up one night, but I don't go out past 8. Maybe Peter does, but you know, I'll be in. I'm not going to go to the bars or party or anything. So rather condense them than spread it out to multiple nights.
I agree.
So again, to clarify, Gwen, we're not talking about an additional sustainability committee meeting. We're talking about coordinating it with the joint. No, that makes a lot of sense. And I mean, yeah, it may, starting at 8 o'clock may compel us to be a little terser than I have been this evening. I'll think about the number of words per topic.
Well, with that, all of the words will probably be talked out in the joint committee. That's where all of the heavy work is, and it's very informative, Peter. It really is. I urge you especially to watch the April meeting. The link is on the coastal site, and I can share. Actually, in my minutes, I'm going to be obligated to create paper minutes, a paper minute report for our neighborhood council Northwest. So I will always have the Zoom link to the actual video,
To the joint meeting.
Right. And I will try to do the same if we have a list of these meetings somewhere to put that link in as well.
Well, that would be great. It would be very helpful to me, Gwen, if we're going to do this, if when you send out the notice to the meetings, that the notice also includes the the joint meeting link as well.
Yeah.
That just helps me to avoid too much
Yes.
searching.
Yeah, what we have as panelists is we are invited in a singular email to a list of meetings that follow. I believe I'm going to see if this June maybe we can start doing it following the joint meeting, and then continue on through to the end of the calendar year. Some of which, of course, we may go dark because of a holiday or something of that nature. But so for you to just automatically be signing in as a panelist, that one singular email has your individual link, and then you can go in directly. I have to keep track of it because as the chair, I need to have that authorization so that, you know, so that it's easy for somebody, one of the executives board, to hand off the meeting and make me host and the rest of it. So there's that meeting, and you can actually approve it to go into your calendar, Google, Yahoo, I think, I forget what it is, OS? No, I forget what it is for Mac, but you can send the whole thing to your calendar and it'll pop up and the link will be in there. So,
Got it. Okay,
all right.
okay, Gwen.
Okay.
This sounds like a great idea.
All right. It's 8:02. I don't see anyone else. There was no one here. No one joined us. So there we are. I will write this up. Just real quick. Let's see. So the motion to entertain was that Thomas first and Pat second? And
Sure.
Pat, I'll look at the
You have to
recording.
look at the tape. I don't recall.
Yeah, and then to vote it was Peter, and I think it was Thomas. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you, Gwen.
Send this on.
Thanks, Tom. Tom, take care. Take it easy.
Peter.
Bye-bye.
Take care, Glenn. Stay safe.
You too. Okay. Stop the video. Stop the recording.